Hey guys, welcome to a new video of Bitcoin Edge. Today we'll have a talk with Magus. Magus is a YouTuber as well, and kind of a good trader. And he is kind of a systematic trader, and he goes quite in depth. Hi Magus, how are you today?
Great, thanks for having me.
So, how did you start with crypto?
So originally got into crypto the same type of story as pretty much everyone else, just heard about it. I watched Bitcoin for a couple of years from having friends tell me about it. I
Mm-hmm.
maybe first heard about it in like 2014 or something and paid like no real attention to it. And then in late 2016, one of my friends started to show me on Ethereum and I got kind of interested in it and started buying ETH pretty early and got lucky basically. And
Nice.
then the same type of story as everybody else. Got really greedy in 2017 bull run. Took some profits, but not nearly as much as I should have. Got trapped on altcoins like a shitter and was forced to learn the game, so it didn't happen again.
Yeah, yeah, and you're quite in depth now with your trading methods. I would say, how did that evolve? Can you maybe show your YouTube page so people have
Yeah,
an idea?
so this is my YouTube. It's not like super big or anything. It's really pretty random. I'm just now more starting to put out like more specific content because prior to it, it was just like I would record whatever I felt like in the moment if I had an idea. So now I'm trying to do a little more specific things that I think people could benefit from. So I'm taking it slightly more serious.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is my stuff. I'll do. I have like a how-to section where I'll explain how to set things up, how to view things, and then I also have they don't get as much attention, but I do think that the analysis videos where I like talk for 2 minutes or 3 minutes about how I'm looking at the chart at the moment is also really good because you can see like that kind of that thought process that I'm going through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and how did that change through the years? Like, was there like, did you start with naked technical analysis, or did you go into indicators, or were you?
So like your typical noob, I went straight into indicators. I would say I was reasonably lucky swing trading altcoins in early 2018 with Ichimoku. I
Mm-hmm.
use like Ichimoku and moving averages,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I think is like those kind of indicators are like the perfect like IQ distribution meme because you're gonna have like your 60 IQ and your high IQ people using that, and then your middle IQ people thinking that they're a poor approach. I think that if you want to use Ichimoku and it works for you, then like there's nothing wrong with that. But personally, I did eventually move away from that because I did eventually move specifically to like pure price action, and
Mm-hmm.
that's when I started to get a little more confident that because when I was swing trading altcoins, I kind of just knew I was getting lucky,
Mm-hmm.
and I switched to price action and trading Bitcoin later in 2018 when times were a little more tough,
Mm-hmm.
and I started to get a little more serious that way, and I know you wanted to talk about this later anyways, but this is the perfect time to bring it up.
Sure.
Um, I it wasn't my biggest loss ever, but it was the most impactful loss was I had been trading Bitcoin price action, and I got a little too complacent, like many other people, with just longing the 6K floor
Yeah.
and taking whatever it gave me. And I still had a job back then and didn't have a real proper approach. I kind of just did what I thought. It was pure discretion pretty much back then.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I got absolutely destroyed when the floor fell
Mm-hmm.
on 6K, and we very quickly went to 5K into 4K, and I think we like eventually bled down to like low threes.
Yeah.
Um,
I pulled up
all the work,
the chart of that period real quick, by the way. So I pointed
yeah,
out which period we're talking about.
sure.
Yeah.
All the work that I had put into for 2018, almost all the work was just wiped in like a day or two of
Mm-hmm.
one mistake, which was just not accounting for, if I'm wrong and managing my risk appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
So I almost got liquidated on that account. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I mean, it was in terms of dollars, it wasn't that much. In terms of Bitcoin, right? It was like a lot of Bitcoin though. It was like
Mm-hmm.
over 8 Bitcoin that I lost on
Mm-hmm.
that trade. So that was the turning point for me, where I realized that it was no more time to just be casually doing this. That I needed to um, basically find out how I was going to stop being liquidity for somebody else and start taking, start being the guy that's taking liquidity from everyone.
Yeah.
Um, so that was the eye-opening moment where I realized I needed to get more serious.
Mm-hmm.
I started getting more systematic with my price action after that. And then somewhere along the line, I don't know why, somewhere along the line, it was probably from the PDF guys that I first noticed it. Probably Tommy and
PDF
Sting.
guys? What do you mean?
Yeah. There's a group. They're not as popular on Twitter nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
but people don't realize that this group PDF is a bunch of chads basically.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not um, as active on Twitter nowadays. They're a little more
Reserved.
passive, but
Yeah.
it's a trading group of people that um, most of the people know. Most of the people listening will know most of the members. Some of them are
Mm-hmm.
a little more secretive, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's like Cuban, Glim, Sting, Tommy, Keck, that whole group. There's like
Mm-hmm.
almost 20 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I'm fairly certain that those are probably the guys that I was introduced to this by.
Mm-hmm.
And then before I ever interacted with any of them, I went out on my own to learn the basics. So like I learned what profile is, what basic order flow stuff was, and then once I understood the basics, I went and did Tommy and Sting's course and ended up becoming good friends with them and was mentored by them. So
Okay.
that's how I um, did that kind of transition.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's a good moment to help people with the direction of like finding that assistance
Mm-hmm.
because everybody wants to find a mentor, and it's
Mm-hmm.
much more difficult than you know you think at first because um, once somebody's proven themselves knowledgeable and
Mm-hmm.
like for Sting example, like everybody knew he knew what he was talking about, so everybody wants to learn from you when you're that guy,
Mm-hmm.
and they have to filter out who's worth teaching, who's not.
Mm-hmm.
So my lesson to people would be when you want to interact with somebody, that really take the time to craft out a well thought out message and don't just send the first shitty question that comes to mind,
Mm-hmm.
because what happens is if you put out a question that we can tell isn't well thought out, we're just going to ignore you because like there's somebody else that's hungrier that's going to put in more effort in that moment than you. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's you got to get lucky to get somebody's attention and show them um that you have the aptitude and that
Mm-hmm.
you are willing to
Mm-hmm.
work hard enough. So
Mm-hmm.
that's not trading specific. I guess that applies to a lot of things in life, but yeah, if you want somebody to help you, show them you're worth helping. That's how I'd
Yeah.
summarize it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good thing. I guess you get a lot of DMs then. Um, just like Adam, for example, on Twitter, he's always complaining about that.
I'm sure Adam gets it much worse than I do because I think Adam might be more known than I am, but more important than that, just the fact that everybody does that's a meme nowadays, the DM at Adam,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I
He really
people don't
hates it.
realize that it's like they're doing a disservice to the community with that. I guarantee you that Abe is gonna just pack up one day and say fuck social media because people have bugged him so much that like people are gonna lose this gem one day because they
Yeah.
mistreated him.
Yeah. I don't know. For me on the sidelines, it's kind of funny, but
It is funny, but I
it's
just know that like if I get irritated by the messages I get, like it's gotta be so much worse for him.
yeah. I mean, like, yeah, I get it. It's just funny. I don't think you have to reply to everything, and don't take it too seriously.
That's Adam's problem. He feels like obliged to reply to everybody, and I
Mm-hmm.
just ignore most of the messages I get.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
and it's nothing against you guys, right? I don't want to sound like I'm trying to be
No, no,
a dick
no.
about it. It's just you got to realize that before I know it, I'm gonna end up spending my whole day
Yeah.
answering questions that frankly you guys could probably figure out with like 5 minutes of googling
I
anyways
mean,
instead of just asking me.
you're doing them a favor, and you don't have to do it, and yeah, you don't have to be feel pushed or anything, you know. So it's yeah, if you feel like it, you do it. If you don't, it's okay as well. Yeah, you shouldn't be feeling bad about it, I think. Um, so yeah, go on. The PDF guys is how you got into it, and then finding a mentor. Um,
Yeah, I got lucky. I found two mentors
mm-hmm,
that basically were able to help me with two, specific areas. I
mm-hmm,
think I learned a little bit more about like auction market theory and like more flow based stuff from Tommy, and then I
mm-hmm,
learned more like mechanical type stuff from Sting, I would say.
mm-hmm,
Um, but yeah, I mean, I took what they gave me and tried my best to end up um with my own way of doing things. Now, I'm
mm-hmm,
obviously have similarities to someone like Sting because I was influenced by him, but I do
mm-hmm,
think I have my own approach like mostly. I'd say
mm-hmm,
it's like, 15-20% him, 80% me at this point or something.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm just literally making those numbers up on the spot.
Yeah, but
But anyways,
everybody finds his own edge, kind of in that, I would say. Um, like everybody has his own style, and although you learn from someone, you know, there's someone still like that edge you have um, over certain areas. Just like some people are good in a range and others are good in a downtrend, uptrend. I think.
sure. And I was actually just having that exact conversation with Sting yesterday about that. That's the hardest thing for traders, just to do that shift.
Yeah,
That's what separates, I think his direct quote was, that's what separates retail from professional traders, is the ability to shift, and I could not agree more.
yeah. I see. And was there a time when you broke through, or where you was like, wow, now I'm in the flow, and now I got the hang of it, and now it's going well? Um, was there a certain breakthrough in your trading system?
Um, so yeah, I mean, I'll answer that. Before I say
Sure.
that, I want to make a point that I think the reason why I stood a chance was that I had gotten lucky many times over with having big swings
Mm-hmm.
on like shitcoins and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't like capital starved going into it. And I think that the idea of being undercapitalized is a very real problem for people that are aspiring traders. That you need to be like comfortable in your life to where if you don't make money for a while, that you're fine, because that peace of mind that it brings, that that like, even if I just fucking take L's for 6 months straight,
Mm-hmm.
that I'll be okay. That if you don't have that like security blanket, that is going to impact your psychology, and you're less likely to succeed, in my opinion, because I mean, psychology is the hardest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't get talked about nearly enough. Everybody wants to know about how cool the system is, and he uses this
Mm-hmm.
tool and all those things, but you could be the most simple trader in the world and out trade me if you are have a better control of your own brain than I do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
But
totally agree. Yeah.
anyways, you asked about like a system breakthrough, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I, I I hate to sound cheesy with it because nowadays this is such a flavor of the month thing, but profile really was a big breakthrough for me, just because it helped me get that lens of how to view things.
Mm-hmm.
And once you realize that you're always shifting between trend and range, and then when you learn how to use the tool to identify that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it has a big impact, because prior to that, when I was mostly a price action trader, um, it is I wasn't able to do that kind of momentum to mean reversion shift at all. I was
Mm-hmm.
purely mean reversion on price action, and then I would like swing trade altcoins, and pray basically. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would say that the big breakthrough for me was when I was able to incorporate TPO into things, because it just gave me that. that logic to back things up. There's a lot stronger trade thesis that way for me, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that that's going to be the case for everybody. So I don't want to ever sound like I'm the guy trying to sell people the magical solution to their failures, right? I don't think this is
Yeah.
going to be that big of a deal for most people, but
Mm-hmm.
for me, it was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. And what after that? Like, did was there how to say it, like a rise in it? Like, what did you add after profile, for example? You know, did you go on and did you find something better or?
Yeah, so we can do some of the other screenshots.
Mm-hmm.
So really starting to incorporate um, more order flow stuff. I think I got really after profile, I got really heavy into depth of market,
Mm-hmm.
DOM trading or
Mm-hmm.
ladder trading. Um, because at the time it was really, really useful because those were back in the glory days of BitMEX
Mm-hmm.
where I could just trade BitMEX flow,
Mm-hmm.
and if BitMEX was going to go up, the market was going to go up.
Yeah.
Nowadays, that's not necessarily the case,
But
right? You
we're
know,
we're we're, we're
other
talking
exchanges
about,
have relevance now.
yeah, we're talking about like spring 2019 now. Is that what you
Yeah,
mean?
like
Yeah.
2019 into early 2020,
Yeah.
BitMEX was the end all be all of derivative flow.
Yeah.
So when BitMEX said price was going to go up, price went up. When BitMEX said price was going to go down, it went down. That's not the case anymore. I still trade off BitMEX flow mostly, but you need to nowadays you have to respect the fact that like the spot markets have a lot more relevance because of the trend and that other derivatives are going to matter now. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Bybit
Mm-hmm.
is going to matter more. FTX is going to matter more. Nance in weird ways is gonna matter, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I wouldn't really recommend anybody executing off of Nance probably. But anyways, yeah, so uh, I started to incorporate a lot of depth of market stuff, but I eventually moved away from that
Mm-hmm.
because tape reading and depth of market, which those were the two tools I was using in combination to execute. That was basically all I used to trade for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's so intensive on your brain because like with the tape for instance, right, you have to theoretically you have to acknowledge every single order that's going through in your brain to recognize when uh what orders matter. And the same thing with the DOM. If since the DOM is constantly changing, right? All the resting bids and asks are changing, all the
Mm-hmm.
recently transacted volume is always changing. It means you have to be a crackhead and stare at these things without blinking to trade
Mm-hmm.
them.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I moved to Footprint more, and I put a lot more weight into that now because it's just way less intensive for me. That
Mm-hmm.
Footprint stores all the information, and it's not maybe as uh, readable as maybe a DOM was, but
Mm-hmm.
I can come and look at this and see exactly what happened over the past couple hours and see where the orders were. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just a lot less work intensive to use print.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I would recommend that to people, is because it's just easier on your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And you just need to learn when you look at these charts, you need to learn how to block out the useless information and identify what matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Right.
there's obviously a lot of information normally, and you can get information overload.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say is there a way of, you say, like, this is best in a trending market and this is best in a ranging market? Is there a difference in what tools you like to use or you think are superior?
Yeah, definitely. You don't really want to lean into like derivative order flow trading, um, unless you're in a range
Mm-hmm.
or some sort of reversion-ish, type of market.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Trading off of like, yeah, derivative order flow is great for day like for scalping and intraday
Mm-hmm.
trading.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never been able to figure out any approach personally where I could use derivative flow to do any higher time frame trading. You could,
Mm-hmm.
you definitely could make the argument that you could use the spot markets for much higher time frame, which would be my recommendation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Um, I see. And do we need to cover something else about your method? Because I have some other questions I think are cool to
I'll
ask.
just talk about a couple of the screenshots I threw. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
these are like the main charts that will share with the
Yeah,
public that I'm
sure.
using. So I'm using a TPO to figure out what I want to do and where I want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to be using the combination of something like these two things, right? I'm going to be using
Mm-hmm.
something like a regular data display style, like candlestick, with a print together.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, this is cumulative volume delta, so this is showing
Mm-hmm.
you the net difference between buying and selling throughout the day.
Okay.
Super useful for knowing when people are getting aggressive and when they're getting passive.
I see.
So yeah, I mean, those are this is a bigger version of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's from my point of view, it's pretty straightforward, but I guess from other people's, it's not. So literally all these lines that you see,
Mm-hmm.
except for this blue line here, right here in the middle, those are all auto drawn. So
Mm-hmm.
once people, it's kind of a random topic, but once people get more comfortable and maybe you've been trading for a while and you know
Mm-hmm.
that you know how to draw support and resistance and things like that, you don't need
Mm-hmm.
to learn that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Use your programs to do it all for you. Like, look, how convenient is it for me that like my program, it marks out the weekly levels, the daily levels, the monthly levels. It marks out, all the swing highs and lows for me. It does
Mm-hmm.
like all the little things that I don't want to sit there and do all day. It does for me. So once you're confident in your stuff, I would say get to the point where it does things for you.
So you're really into programming then, or?
No, this is a Sierra does it all.
Ah, okay,
Sierra does
okay.
everything
Never
for
used
you.
Sierra, but I've heard about it. Yeah. Nice.
Sierra has a massive learning curve, but once you can get through it, and
Mm-hmm.
that is why I originally started my YouTube channel,
Mm-hmm.
because I saw that when I wanted to learn something on Sierra, I had to go and watch some video from some legacy guy that's 3 hours long where he breaks down how to set up a TPO, and I was like, shit, I could make this video in 5 minutes. So
Yeah, exactly.
that's
And
what I
and,
did.
and show your show your YouTube page again, because I've watched some of those as well. And
Yeah, some of my original videos were all that, like how to set up a foot. Like I'm showing you how to set up
yeah,
a basic footprint in 4 minutes and 59 seconds. Like you're not gonna
yeah,
find that anywhere else. All the other videos are like an hour long, and they're fucking boring too, right?
yeah,
Like
exactly.
I got to the point quick with these.
Yeah, that's very good. I watched a couple of them and I was like, oh man, this is instead of just what you said, like watching four videos of each 2 hours long. You're like, ah, f that shit. I'm not even gonna start it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
seriously, 4 minutes 41 seconds to from blank start to having a TPO set up.
yeah,
And
very
that's
good.
gonna, any other video is gonna be, so much longer than that.
Yeah, and you don't even feel like starting it. You're like, ah, never mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, good, good. So we both are kind of. Is that a problem in your trading as well that you're not patient?
No, not really,
Okay,
I
okay,
would
okay,
say.
okay. Well, I mean, we're both not really patient enough to watch a video of 3 hours long. So I was. You let it.
Yeah, it was less of like I didn't have that much of an issue watching that stuff, to be
Okay,
honest. I just
okay.
knew that other people wouldn't, right? I
Oh yeah,
was trying to put myself in other people's shoes.
I am one of
I have
those.
this
Yeah.
ridiculous ability to, if I'm interested in something, it doesn't matter how boring it is to everybody else. If I'm interested in something, I
Mm-hmm.
can like put um a scary amount of attention into something. And that is how I learned all these things. Like, I don't think it took me that long to to get a good grasp of these things, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just because I had like a lot of focus put towards it. Basically, I decided this is what I was going to do, so I was going to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that you probably need that a little bit um as a person,
Mm-hmm.
that need to figure things out, that curiosity. If you're a curious person, that's really good for going down these kind of paths in life,
Yeah,
because
you
it's the
need.
curious people that make it.
Yeah, you need a little bit of fire in you. Like to want it, to understand it. It's just like with everything, basically. But yeah, a little bit of fire in it is not being lazy, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, interesting. And yeah, do you? I heard you say something about programming earlier before we started calling. Um, do you do arbitrage or anything at the moment, or do you have a history with that?
I've I put effort into it, but I haven't really reached any degree of success with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the hard thing is that I need a partner because I'm not I have no issue creating all the trade logic for how automation should work because I um you know put a lot of time into this stuff. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
difficult for me to think in those ways, but I don't have the technical ability to make these things actually execute on themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that somebody arbitrages manually out there, so I can't just say that nobody does because I know somebody does. But most of the people that are actually making money with arbitrage, it's purely automation.
Mm-hmm.
Because a human being just it's just too difficult to do, I think, because you have these like split second moments where that inefficiency exists in price,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess to to explain what this is too for the viewers, right? Like arbitrage, at least the kind of arbitrage I care about doing is um, looking at all the derivatives contracts, right? So, let's say we want to play an efficiency on Ethereum, and that like that what that means is we're waiting for some sort of violent to come into the market where we either go up or go down a lot, and then we're going to look at the different ETH contracts and see which ones are mispriced, right? We want to look for on that massive selling wave, did the December contract go 5% below spot?
Mm-hmm.
And if so, I mean that's a arbitrage opportunity right there. You're not going to get 5% most of the time. I just made a number up like that. It's
Oh
more
yeah, yeah. I
likely going to
mean,
be a lot less than that.
yeah,
But
I'm showing right now. Like, I sent you a snapshot as well of what I'm having on the screen right now, where you can see the differences, well, of Bybit, BitMax, and Phoenix. Towards Coinbase, for example, spot. And that's basically, like if one thing is cheaper somewhere else, you buy it there. If it's more expensive somewhere else, you sell it there. And that's where you take the profit in between, basically. And just like you said, like if it's volatile, the apes are back, shit starts running out of sync. Um, I think there are a lot of opportunities to arbitrage. Uh,
yeah, I think the point that needs to be made with that though is that they're not really going to exist on perpetuals as much. I theoretically it could happen on a perpetual, but those things are probably too liquid for these things to happen. Really, the reason why they happen is because these inefficiencies occur because larger participants that make up a big portion of the open interest on a contract puke during volatility, and
mm-hmm.
that's how these things happen, right? Imagine, the perfect example was, I guess it's a while ago now, like a couple of months ago, whenever we sold off big from like 50K and we went down, did 30K in like fucking two candles basically. Um, what happens in those moments is that big big participants that are long on the futures contracts, they have to decide if they're going to weather the storm or not. And people have those like horrible flashbacks about March 13th, 2020,
Mm-hmm.
and people get scared. And imagine I'm a big guy and I make up 1/3 of the open interest on this September contract. Well, when I puke that thing, that
Mm-hmm.
contract's going to go
To
more than
zero.
likely into backwardation,
Yeah.
and somebody with a bot snipes that up and gets as many fills on that contract as they can. As price balances out, they get out, and it's not actually trading at that point. You're really
Mm-hmm.
just that's why it's called arbitrage, because you're just arbing the inefficiency. I don't consider that to be trading. But no, I
No.
mean, I'm by no means am I an expert on this kind of stuff. It's just something I'm super interested in and am I desire to move that direction as time goes on.
I mean, there's a little thing you can do, and you can, for example, buy spot and sell perps. When funding is extremely high, when um, and there's big premiums. That's a thing you could do. There are some in the bull market, there are some opportunities to do it also on perps. But right now, it's like basically nothing is going on, and it's
The
not
better
good.
opportunity with that though is on futures contracts instead of perpetuals.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's like the standard cash and carry trade
yeah.
that we like to talk about, is that you long spot and short futures
Mhm,
contracts when they're foreign to contango. That was like a really great opportunity that people had a couple of months ago. You
mhm,
could have had, especially because there's such a thing as an inverse contract where you can use your coin as collateral instead of dollars. So you could take your Bitcoin that you're long and go and short the same amount
mhm,
on a forward-looking futures contract, and then you could potentially collect a really large premium. I mean, at one point those premiums were 25%,
mhm,
and basically these larger participants get a free 20-30% that's essentially risk-free if they do it
mhm,
right.
mhm.
But that doesn't really, these aren't really opportunities for regular people. Because like a regular person doesn't care about making 30%. They need to make 30,000% for it to matter.
Yeah, I was always into futures before I started like basically trading perps, and the 2000 was it 19 top. I basically sold the BitMEX futures, catching like I think I almost sold it 15k. Um, so yeah, I mean, if you're trying to trade slow and not be an ape, I think it's a good way to do it. And if you trade with 1x leverage or something instead of like 50, I think it's a good thing to do. But yeah, I mean nowadays we're really into the 50 minimum 50x leverage, huh?
Yeah. So two things I'd say. A, I have a video on my YouTube channel that's specific to this.
Oh
So I
really?
explain all the different, the two different main derivative or three main different derivative types in spot
Mm-hmm.
markets and explain how they work. So anybody that doesn't understand what we're talking about, just watch that and it will make a lot of sense to you after that.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, I don't think that these are realistic things for like most people to try to trade. Most people are probably better off being directional monkey traders, where you just have actual long bias or short bias.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you can succeed with that, or you at least do that for the purpose of getting your base built up. Because yeah, I mean, I've been trading for like almost 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know that I'm not like fully ready to be an arbitrage trader. So that mean to me tells me that like most people probably aren't really ready to do that yet either. I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying you can't arb a random, like if you want to take a short when we're in a bull market and you short on, like you said, a forward-looking contract, you get a way better fill that way. So I'm not saying don't take that kind of stuff, but like actual arbitrage trading is probably above most people's abilities, I would say. I think it's above mine currently.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you can do it. Maybe it's with less risk, I think, instead of the payout. Just like you said, is less extreme as well. So, um,
Yeah. I think it's important to point out that the obstacles are not only the execution, like I said, but the fact
mhm,
that these things theoretically don't necessarily exist in the same place, right? You might not get lucky that the long you're taking and the short you're taking might not be on the same exchange, right? So
mhm,
that complicates the execution, that you might need to get a split second fill on two contracts from two different exchanges. And that's
mhm,
kind of why it's more difficult, and you need to be more capitalized because of that, right? You need to have
mhm,
accounts on every exchange that matters so that you can
mhm,
play those kind of things, which means you have to have a lot of money just sitting there.
mhm.
So that prices a lot of people out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess so. Yeah, true.
Because you don't want to be the guy that's trying to spam send tether to an exchange so you can arb something. If that happens, right, by the time your money gets to the exchange, somebody's already beaten you to it.
Yeah,
So
you want to have it sitting there and ready to go. Um, yeah, totally true. Um, you don't have a couple hours time or minutes time. It needs to be fast. Um,
yeah.
Something else. Before we started talking, you were earlier in the day. You were talking about a morning routine. Um, what does your morning routine look like? Are you scanning charts? Or is there something I don't know a method you're working on or?
Um So like I have like little projects I'm working on here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So, but regardless from that, I mean, yeah, it's just a general. Um, let's take a quick glance at the chart. Let's take a quick like, and not just Bitcoin, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna look at many markets.
Mm-hmm.
I'll look at like I'm gonna look at legacy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna see what all the major indexes are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's 2021. I'm not. It's not like I'm gonna be here saying that like we're correlated with them or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get if you get an actual shift in those markets, it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
affect us nowadays,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
When when the Fed actually says like stops joking around about tapering and actually tapers, like
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin is that's going to affect our market
Yeah.
100%. Like
Yeah.
everybody's going to get shook in that moment when that's like
Mm-hmm.
officially a statement. So
Mm-hmm.
anyways, I pay attention to that, and that's a good segue into the news because I do put a lot more effort nowadays into paying attention to the news.
Mm-hmm.
Um I'm not like over here reading like headlines about, Corona or something like, that's not
Mm-hmm.
what I mean, like, news that's specific to that we care about.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, if there's a major piece of news regarding legacy markets, I care. And if there's a major piece of news regarding Bitcoin or any other crypto, I care. But apart from that, I'm not going to care about the other news things. Just because, right? Like, perfect example was like one of the first things I saw when I woke up. See if I can does that minimize my screen? No, it doesn't. Let's see if I
I
can.
can take your screen away if you want.
No,
Oh,
no,
one
it's fine.
second.
There was. Oh God, this news feed is so full. I can't remember even what it was, but it was something. There was some sort of stupid Bitcoin news that came out this morning. Oh yeah, Bank of America has approved selected Bitcoin futures trading CoinDesk.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the dumbest. That means nothing, right? Bitcoin is
Mm-hmm.
approved selective Bitcoin futures trading. Like that means
Mm-hmm.
nothing. What happened though? Bitcoin went up immediately after that was
Yeah.
posted.
Yeah.
Not like a lot necessarily, but if you're a scalper, that was enough to make
I
a
mean,
play
that was
probably.
yeah. I saw it as well. I don't have the charts up on my
That's a
list, but
meaningless piece of news, though, right? It doesn't
yeah.
actually have any context. If they had said, like, this specific type of client is going to trade these specific contracts or whatever, it might matter. But that's such a generic uh, statement. It means nothing.
Yeah, but it was more than a $900 pump, you know. So yeah, that's
Exactly.
yeah.
And the $900 move on Bitcoin is plenty from a
If
intraday
I
perspective,
mean, yeah, if you take yeah.
especially how quick it is. Like, that's a
Mm-hmm.
gift, right? Because those moves
Yeah.
play out quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And do you trade based upon news? Like, do you sometimes read something and think like, oh fuck, I'll pump something in now, or
I don't ever take a position because of news, but I might
mm-hmm.
take less. I might reduce risk because of news.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Yeah.
I'm just gonna trade off of what my system says to do.
Mm-hmm.
But so I'm not like you. There are people out there. I'm not discrediting that there because there's people that 100% aped in when they saw that tweet and they made money. So I'm not
Mm-hmm.
discrediting that, but that's just not something that I do personally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I lean more into my system. And if there was something like, when in an hour when Janet Yellen comes out and says something negative about cryptos, if I'm wrong, I might be puking that or de-risking it or something, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you know that the market's going to react to how, no, regardless of how stupid the statement is or how much impact it really should have,
Mm-hmm.
we'll react to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And a funny event maybe, you know, the Elon news, the Elon pump earlier in the year when we pumped from basically 38k to I don't know high 40s. How did that one go to you, for you? Were you in a trade at the moment, or um, when did you hear it?
I I can't really remember enough to be. I was definitely in full up bull tard mode back then.
Mm-hmm.
I yeah, I was deep into being a stupid bull back then. So
Oh, nice.
I'm sure I had exposure. Well, I know I did, but what type of exposure specifically beyond spot? I don't remember, to be honest. So I'm not gonna say I did anything. It's very possible I caught that move. It's very possible I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do think that from a technical perspective back then, there was a very strong argument for us to go up, though. So,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
but I don't remember the specifics, to be
Ah, okay,
honest.
okay.
I take too many trades to remember them. I'd have to like go through
Oh,
my journal to
I
find that.
I mean, that one I remember like the day of yesterday. Adam, you know, the guy we both know, um, in a Discord server I was in with him, you know, he came with the news 8 minutes before it was out on Twitter, you know, and we were all checking if it was real. It was on the
You
website of
know,
the
I think
SEC.
I
You know.
remember that actually. That was in the crack den, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah. Like man, I still suck his dick. Thank you, Adam. Yeah. No, but yeah, exactly. Um, so what else is there we should talk about? Sorry if it's does it control your mood trading?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, I can't LARP and say that it doesn't affect me at all. I don't think it affects me as much as it used to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, yeah, along the line, you're gonna get to desensitized to the numbers,
Losses.
right? Because
Yeah.
I've taken big L's in my day, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
So you will become desensitized to it,
Mm-hmm.
and the key is just it's easier said than done, but the key is to really become process oriented and not worry about the outcome as much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because once you become confident in your system, and then that should make you confident in yourself because you know your system works,
Mm-hmm.
you can really focus on as long as you're trading well, it doesn't matter that you lost because that's just going to happen that you could do things perfectly and you're still going to lose money sometimes because we just have to become comfortable with the idea of uncertainty. You know, as soon as you enter a position, you got to be comfortable with the idea that I don't know what's going to happen. I think this is going to happen, but I don't actually know, and you just got to be okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. And yeah, maybe it's funny, you know, how we talked about it earlier before we went on yeah, basically started the stream. Risk management and how people have to burn themselves. Um, I mean, a lot of people have to learn it the hard way, right?
Yeah. A lot of us that have been around have experienced that where um I've had many friends where I've tried to help and I've tried to teach things,
Mm-hmm.
but more often than not, especially with the idea of how they're managing their greed and how they're managing their risk,
Mm-hmm.
they just completely ignore me most of the time until they lose everything or take a big loss, and then they
Mm-hmm.
come and go, "Oh, I should have listened to you." I've had that like
Yeah.
kind of situation play out too many times. It sucks because it makes me like it's makes me not want to help because your advice gets ignored.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm gonna continue to do education like and help like random people on the internet how I do
Mm-hmm.
now. I've
Mm-hmm.
kind of decided that I'm not going to interact with people um anymore with like friends and family type of stuff. I'm not gonna be involved in
Oh
that stuff
yeah, yeah.
anymore.
No, real life. No, I don't even tell people I do this stuff. You know, I don't know. I make something up or say I'm jobless. You know, or anything. Really do not wanna talk
Well,
about
the
this
thing is
this
that like a
stuff.
lot of my friends know what I do, so I can't just tell them I don't do it. And the thing is that, you know, I want to help when I know I can help on things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean this bull run was just a really bad experience for that because
Mm-hmm.
I I know more than one person that probably lost a lot of money and is going to keep losing money because they just didn't they're just on the wrong side of the psychology spectrum. It's so hard for us to buy things when they're cheap because we don't they're not going up yet.
I
But then
mean,
our
yeah,
brains are so comfortable buying them once they've gone up.
yeah. But I mean, leverage. You know, sometimes feels to me like, um, I don't know, like giving sugar to an obese person or something. You know, like, you can't always do it, right? Like it's not good for everybody. Not everybody has like self control that much, and they take one loss and then they make it back in one. You know, like it's the amount of geniuses we saw this this year on Twitter, basically. Um, I don't know. I always feel a bit bad for telling people about leverage, almost. Um,
Yeah, the funny thing is, specifically, like I had like maybe three or four people in mind with what I was saying, and there's no leverage even involved in those people's
oh.
situations. It's just they ignored me for 7, 8 months when I told them to buy things, and then they bought the top on
Oh
all the
yeah,
shit.
yeah. No, no. Yeah. I mean, March 2020. I screamed to my friends, like buy it now, and I didn't have enough money to buy more. I was in a spot position back then. Not lost any Bitcoin, but they didn't buy it back then, and they did buy at 10K, which was still okay, in hindsight now. But back then it was already high. You're like, yeah, well, you can, but it's high. So yeah, I
I
totally.
I won't even LARP. I actually did get shook by that drop. Not enough to where it's had like a negative lasting impact on me or anything. Like I
Mm-hmm.
was able to switch full boltard and be fearless. So as long as you can do that, that's okay. But I mean, yeah, I actually bought most of the Bitcoin that I had during this bull run. I bought at 10K.
Wow.
So that
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
in terms of price points, it was kind of higher, I guess. But from a technical point of view, that was like the greatest buy opportunity you ever could have
Yeah.
gotten. That
Yeah.
we broke out and retested 10K.
Yeah.
Um, of course, I didn't buy as much as I should have, but
No. Yeah.
I did buy that though, so I
Y-
was really happy with that. Also, I bought ETH 300, so that was also
Oh, nice. Yeah.
um
Very
got super
nice.
lucky with ETH.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Is there something else we missed on during this talk?
Uh,
Like, do we? Is
I
there some?
mean, no, don't get. I'd like to recommend to people to don't get focused on trying to use things because you see other people using them. Just really spend a lot of time testing things and seeing what makes sense for you because all of our brains are wired differently, even if you're similar.
Mm-hmm.
And things that you're going to understand things differently than somebody else, and something might work for you that doesn't work for that guy, and so on and so forth. So really spend a lot of time just testing things and seeing what you like. And
Yeah.
as soon as you see things that you like, um, go into more detail on them, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe you're casually using RSI and okay, RSI makes sense to me for the past month. So now it's time to get more in depth with what RSI means and what these diversions are saying and so on and so forth. So that'd be my
Mm-hmm.
advice is just spend a lot of time testing things
I, I, I,
and trade small.
I
Don't trade to make money at first. Trade to survive.
Yeah. One more question pops up. Not
Yeah.
sure if you're willing to answer it, but what is your favorite exchange and why is it your favorite exchange?
Uh, yeah, I don't really know how I should answer that one, so I'm just not going to
Sure,
be
that's totally
honest.
fine. That's totally fine. Um,
Also, like I don't really like any of them too, right? Just like outright, like we don't have any good options. The best option is probably the micro um, CME contract,
mm-hmm.
which I will be moving to that eventually. It's
Mm-hmm.
just I've been watching it a little bit. That's a really great gift for people. I don't real know if people even realize that, but for the longest time, if the only like legitimate derivative contract was the I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's just the standard CME Bitcoin contract, but it was 5 Bitcoin for a contract.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter even if you're a big trader, that's big enough to where like, that's difficult to trade.
Yeah.
If you're a high time frame trader or something, that's fine, but you know, scalping with I, how I trade, I need multiple ins and outs on every trade. So
Mm-hmm.
even if I was big, I just couldn't trade 5 Bitcoin contracts.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can trade is the micro that came out because it's like 1/10 of a Bitcoin, so I could just trade a ton of micro contracts.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm gonna do eventually. So that would be my shill is that
Okay.
there's a legitimate, regulated, proper exchange that exists. So and
Yeah.
the crazy thing is that people probably don't realize is that those exchanges are just as degenerate as your crypto ones are in a lot of ways. The marginal requirements for some of these legacy accounts, I've seen things where you could have $500 to the account and trade 100K position size. So they're pretty degenerate too. So
mm-hmm.
I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
worry,
Mm-hmm.
the marginal requirements, and also the other thing too is like liquidation mechanics on those contracts is not the same either. Crypto native people probably think that it's normal that you fuck up and you get liquidated and lose everything. That's not how liquidations work actually, or what they really are called is margin calls. A real margin call
Mm-hmm.
is the exchange recognizing that your position's in trouble and them reaching out to you and saying, "Give us more money to back this position, or we liquidate you." Not just we just liquidate you outright like all the other crypto
Yeah.
exchanges
You
do.
go. You go in minus.
Crypto exchanges are a fucking scam in that regard, really, because like a legitimate, legacy exchange, you're literally a broker, or maybe nowadays the email or something. Maybe it's more automated, but they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
reach out to you and say you're in trouble. Fix this shit before we fix it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just funny because like on Binance or BitMEX or whatever, they just say, "Psych, you're fucking out of here." You know?
Yeah, yeah, and there's like this safety margin, for them. The one exchange liquidates you faster than the other one, and that makes a difference in
Yeah, I
certain
get it.
exchanges
I
as well.
understand that. It's
Yeah.
not like I'm saying that the crypto
No,
exchanges are bad,
no, no, no,
because
no,
they need
no,
to
no.
protect themselves.
Yeah, they
But
need to protect themselves, and but there's a difference as well. I believe BitMEX liquidates you last, but they will wick the fastest or the deepest. But no, that's something else. Um, and no, it was just a general question, and I think good answer. Um, shall we round it up, or
yeah, man, unless you have any other questions, I mean,
do you have PTSD from crypto?
do I have PTSD?
Yeah, like the 6K
Uh,
break in
not really.
2018, or
No.
any other moments,
Um,
FUD.
those moments should always they'll always stick in the back of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you would have to be stupid probably for them to not, right? You'd have to be a bit of an ape to just completely forget about those things. The
Mm-hmm.
difference is that you can't let them hold you back. That like other people might, let those experiences make them more scared,
Mm-hmm.
um, to take risk. And that was an anomalous event, right? That March thing. I'm not going to be stupid enough to say it'll never happen again, but that isn't the kind of thing that's supposed to happen, right? There was a lot of
Yeah.
factors that all added up to have that event play out.
I mean, okay, we had the March event, but we also had, um, yeah, that was the most brutal one, and for sure. But I think I remember, if I remember correctly, the November 2018, the 6K floor was kind of sick as well, but nothing like
Yeah,
the
that
like the
one was
March.
bad.
Nothing
Nothing
like
was
the
as bad
March.
as the March one, though.
No.
I mean, the March one in the moment shook me, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I remember, I remember hedging relatively closely to the top, and I remember closing it out and then going pretty bigly net long at like low 7Ks, and then just got blown the fuck out by that, because like that was actually a logical long. That was like a good risk defying long. But
Yeah.
it was one of those things where it just fucking yeeted through the level and all of us got trapped instantly. And yeah, I mean, I took some L's on that day, and that was that moment too, because then I wasn't properly hedged, so I was just
Mm-hmm.
watching all my spot exposure values just deteriorate,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was like that 2 days of just what have I allowed what have I allowed to happen to myself kind of thing. I
Yeah.
watched my worth, a significant amount of my worth just disappear.
Yeah.
And luckily I'm not an all-in crypto guy. I keep money in other places outside of crypto, which I'm not gonna say other people should or shouldn't. I think
Mm-hmm.
there's more opportunity in crypto than anywhere else in the world, but personally,
Mm-hmm.
I just like the idea of, you know, I don't. I like to have a little exposure to like major indexes and stuff, just because
Mm-hmm.
I know that those things are far less likely to ever have some sort of ridiculous event. Can it
Yeah.
happen? No, no doubt. But
Mm-hmm.
those things should theoretically just make me a little bit of money, or at least just hopefully they keep up with inflation for me.
Mm-hmm.
Which nowadays is easier said than done, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
But
mean.
to more specifically answer your question, no, I don't think I have any sort of like PTSD from those events.
Mm-hmm.
It's you gotta like balance it where you remember it without it like negatively affecting you.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
be aware that these things can happen. And somebody tweeted about this the other day, and I thought it was interesting that that event, things like that, and like the how popular movies like The Big Short were,
Mm-hmm.
people think that they're gonna get rich by being a bear, and that's more than likely not going to be the case. So
I mean.
everybody thinks that they're going to get short Bitcoin at 60K, and that they're going to get to watch a liquidation cascade to $5,000, and they're going to be filthy rich. And it's far more likely that you're going to make money being a bull than you are being a bear.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just math.
And the thing is, like downside is always hard and fast, or usually goes way quicker than up. But calling doom, is a very hard thing to do, and of course, massive downsides will come. But you usually go very quick without people expecting them most of the time.
I'm not going to pretend this is my own thought because I think I have gotten it more from CL.
Mm-hmm.
But with what you said about how markets go down faster, I think that that's going to change now for us. That because the usage of the coin marginalized contracts is significantly less nowadays, and I think that that trend is going to continue.
And how,
So
how do you see that, or what metrics do you use for that, or
You could just look at the total open interest
okay.
on coin contracts and then the total open interest on stablecoin contracts, and you can see that stablecoin contracts have um, exploded in open interest, and coin collateralized contracts have stayed the same ever since the sell-off, pretty much. And
Yeah, I
what
mean,
that is telling is because in the past, when something like BitMEX was the main exchange for us, when the big selling events did take place, it ended up being a lot worse because everybody that's on the exchange that's long is long their longs, right? They have spot
mm-hmm.
Bitcoin, which means they're long Bitcoin, and then they're long Bitcoin with their Bitcoin. So when prices go down, it hurts them a lot more than if they were a
Yeah,
stablecoin guy.
yeah,
So
true.
that's why the market was the way it was back in 2018, 19, early 2020
Mm-hmm.
because BitMEX ran things and it was always more profitable for people in the know to push price down
Mm-hmm.
because they knew that they could get more of an emotional response out of people
Mm-hmm.
because people are losing more. It's more painful for price to go down because
Mm-hmm.
they just inherently all of us had long exposure all the time, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
always long Bitcoin when you own Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not gonna pretend to be like some open interest gigabrain or anything, but these are definitely things I pay a lot of attention to.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
agree with the other guys that have said that the stablecoin trend is going to continue because newer crypto natives have been around a while. It just made, we're so used to the idea of using Bitcoin as collateral, but
Mm-hmm.
anybody entering the market anytime recently, that's such a foreign concept to them. They're all going to use dollars, stable
Yeah,
coins
yeah.
as their collateral.
I mean, I'm from the old school. Uh, I'm always in BTC spot and collateral as well.
Yeah.
But that's nasty when it goes down.
Hmm.
If it goes up, it's fine. But yeah, that's right. And if you're shorting, you're better off in with using USDT as collateral. But if you're longing, you're better off with using BTC as collateral because you have to use one XLS leverage basically.
I think
Or
it's actually the opposite.
oh, did I
And
say it then?
again, this isn't really. I'm not gonna say that this is really my thought because I do. Um, I have learned a good bit listening to Loomdart and CL
Mm-hmm.
talk about these things, but you're actually far more at risk as a trader when you're short via USDT because you're much easier to target because you're yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
if it goes
actually
against you, yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. But if it goes
But
with
I
you,
meant
you
that
have to
both of those for
use.
the purpose of them going against you, that it's
Yeah,
better to be shorting with Bitcoin and longing with Tether, if they go against you.
yeah.
If they go in your favor, it's the exact
I,
opposite,
I I mean,
right?
yeah,
Like,
exactly. But in theory, you have to use less leverage.
what do you mean?
Well, if yours with BTC collateral, your BTC collateral goes up, so you have to use a less higher amount of leverage for your long exposure.
Okay, I see.
And you have to, if you have to pay funding, you have to pay less funding for price to go up because you have to like with leverage, no less bigger position. But if it goes against you, you're more effed, yeah.
Yeah,
But you have to adjust the
yeah.
leverage to it basically.
You're just like if you're shorting the Tether collateralization, that you're far more likely to get squeezed. It's just how I understand it. You're just more susceptible to getting squeezed out and potentially getting liquidated. I think you're a lot less likely to get liquidated when you use when you're short with Bitcoin as your collateral, I think your liquidation price is you don't have one basically. You don't have a liquidation price when you're 1x short Bitcoin with Bitcoin collateral. So I think that's why that's like a safer route for people that want to reduce their risk. And the
Mm-hmm.
luxury with that too is you can hold your Bitcoin still. You don't have to part with your spot to
Mm-hmm.
um to have no risk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, 1 second. I think we have some news, by the way, about.
Do we?
Yeah, I'll send you an DM now.
About the Delta
BlackRock Petroleum
variant?
announcement: Bitcoin mining agreement to operate up to 1
Oh.
million bit miners to be deployed across 3 natural gas energy producers in Alberta, Canada. I guess that's kind of
Yeah,
good.
that's not surprising.
Yeah, but it's kind of good, I think.
Yeah, no, yeah, I don't mean it's bad. I mean that's unsurprising that I think we all knew that mining was going to come to the west,
Yeah,
since it's clearly leaving the east.
yeah, yeah. Good thing, by the way, what's coming with the price decline and the, the mining hunt basically is that GPU prices are coming down. Are you looking to
Yeah.
upgrade your GPU?
I actually, funny enough, yeah, I was looking to buy a new PC recently, and that was something I noticed that like, hey, I don't have to pay the price of an entire computer to get just the graphics card alone now. So yeah, that was refreshing to see. That is one of the more toxic things about our space is that we raise prices on things like that, and
Mm-hmm.
some guy that just wants to play, a video game,
Yeah.
uh, literally can't
But I
because of
mean,
us.
we'll actually do him a favor. It's good to get some vitamin D. In the sun, it's way better. It's
Yeah,
way
there
more
you
healthy.
go.
So go play outside,
Exactly.
kids. No. Is there anything else you want to say? Make sure, guys, to follow Magus on YouTube and on Twitter. He always comes in with interesting insights, and he's very open about what he does and how he looks at things, and very educational. Um, just to put it in there. Um, yeah. Anything else to add, Magus?
No, just thanks for having me on, and yeah, I do try to do a fair bit of education and try to be as unbiased as possible when I'm doing all that stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
just know I'm still learning as I go, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't know everything.
We'll always have to keep learning, and
Exactly.
everything keeps changing. Thanks, Magus, and yeah, we'll keep talking, and I will see you around, and see you guys again tomorrow, guys. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and let me know what you think. Also, make sure to subscribe to Magus page.